Welcome everyone to another episode of Badges to Briefcases. I'm your host, attorney Brandon Gans. Today we have a very special guest. With us, we've got Jaylen. He's a firearms instructor and the owner of Trigger Training Academy Firearms Training Company focused on states' gun laws. He also runs Red Team Protection Service, a private security company. He's a private investigator and an open source intelligence analyst. So we're very excited to have Jaylen on the show today. And of course, we've always got our co-host, attorney Ian Wise, here at Gans Law. If you don't already, follow us on our socials, Gans_law. And Jaylen, I've known you for a while. You have a pretty good following. How can people follow you?
You can follow me at Jay the Trigger Trainer, Jaiy, thank my mother, Trigger Trainer on all platforms.
Awesome. Cool, man. Well, let's get into it. We're talking all things firearms today. Since you are the expert on the show, you're a firearms trainer. I've trained with you myself. I got my CCW with you. And so I personally have experience with you, but just tell the viewers, how'd you get into this field?
By accident. I got a CCW back in 2019. Well, I didn't come from a big gun family because I think most people assume that. Nope, no guns in the house until we were literally adults. CCW 2019, start working in a gun shop February of 20. Then COVID hit in March of 20 and guns became the biggest topic. And I realized how many people knew nothing about it. We get 7 phone calls asking about how do you get a CCW permit? And it was I was just on automated script at that point. Had a friend come in as an instructor. He's former law enforcement, actually he's still law enforcement. And I saw him running the business. I was I made $20 in 2 hours and you made 2,000. Something is wrong. So from there I was I'm going to become an instructor, and it took off from October of 20 at that point.
What's your typical clientele? Who would you say is the person that is normally going? Is it a gun enthusiast? Is it women looking for protection? Is it men looking for protection? I mean, who's your common person that you look for?
Surprisingly, it's usually not big gun enthusiasts. Gun enthusiasts are kind of to themselves and that whole personality, and they just they're to themselves. So a lot of it, I was surprised it was actually women.
No, really?
One time I walked into the range and one of the dudes behind the counter was like, "Hey, do you only teach women?" I was like, "No, I teach everybody." He was like, "We've only seen you in here with women." I was just like, "You could be right about that." But
it's just your charm.
Yeah, I do the content, TikTok and all that good stuff. Yeah, typically new gun owners, the person that knows nothing is who is going to come into me, and probably the person I can help the best. If you're seasoned, we can get a good training session in, but you probably don't need to come to me much. You're already in it into the rabbit hole of guns.
That's interesting. So it's people that are newer to it.
Yeah,
so,
they know nothing.
So for those people that know nothing, what's the biggest thing that they're surprised to learn?
I'd probably say the use of self-defense and just the criteria to go through it. We'll get into the deeper topics of it, but what stands your ground in self-defense is, how those the opposite sides of the same coin, how they work, and then how you actually shoot a firearm properly. Everyone sees John Wick or just any movie they've seen and they think it's one way, and it's nope, you just do these small little things and now there's 100% better, and now you can shoot like John Wick, essentially.
Well, you must be pretty good in that. So is that people's primary concern is self-defense, or is there more a general interest in guns in general?
Some people some people have an interest. Those are actually a little more rare. People that are no, I want to get into it. The bug bit me. A lot of people, it's just hey, I want this for the home, or I work this job, I work late, and I just want something for reassurance.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it is honestly peace of mind for most people to just know they have something there if they do need it. But most people just don't want to use it. They just need the peace of mind.
Do these students or clients of yours, do they already own guns, or do you rent them a gun? How does that work?
So for me, I always have a rental ready for them. It's a 22, so I'm it's essentially a high power BB gun at the end of the day.
I want to start with his own.
It's the best thing to start with. It allows their psychology to process the information I'm giving them without having a super big recoil and a loud concussion. That just throws everything I said to them off because they can't process that. So I always have one. If they have their own, I'm yes, bring yours so you can learn on your platform and you know how you're going to do it every day. But a lot of them don't. They literally know nothing. They're hey, I'm interested. I saw you, and we're going to start here. And it's all right, let's walk you through the whole gambit.
How many guns do you have, if you don't mind me asking?
Not as many as most people think. I probably should own more because I'm an instructor, but I've shot a lot, but owning is probably only 4, less than 6 for sure.
Okay.
I think
it's still a lot.
I want to say 4.
It's still a lot. Ian, do you have any guns?
I have 2.
You have 2? I have 2 also. I did not know that about you.
Yeah.
What do you have?
I have my old duty one, a Glock 21, and that's a compact 27.
The Glock 21 is a 45 caliber?
Yep.
You have that?
Mhm.
I have one.
Yeah.
Actually, you
I forgot. That was so funny.
Oh, that's too funny. Yeah, because that's what I used to. So you carried that on duty? Yep. The Glock 21 45 cal. That's what I carry, and so that's what I know. So I've got that one, which is a larger size.
Yeah, it's a full size for sure.
And then I've got the complete opposite, which is like a micro Desert Eagle, which is a 380. It's a tiny little pea shooter. You could hide it in your hand like that. You never know. So I kind of went the complete opposite extreme on that one. But what's your second one?
The 27 subcompact.
Okay, so
A little
you
hand-cannon. Yeah,
so
it's about this big.
Is that in 40 or 45?
I think it's 45.
Oh, so I probably can't
I
hold
haven't
it
used it
down
in
at all,
forever.
man.
It's in the safe.
Yeah, at least they hold like
Sub-
6.
Subcompact with a large round probably holds a few.
It holds 6 plus 1 in the chamber.
That's it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. You're probably a good shot. That's all you need.
Used to be. It's been a while.
Same for me.
It is a use it or lose it sport. Like I hadn't spent a lot of time on the flat range, just traveling in the start of the year, and like did my requal the other day, and I was like, I didn't score perfect, and I was like, dang, I need to spend more time out here right now.
Well, you get rusty. I mean, like I don't know the last time I shot. Like how often would you recommend someone to keep shooting to be proficient?
I'd say at baseline like once a month, but I'm a big believer in like one perfect kick a day is better than 1,000 imperfect kicks. So like if you go take a class with an instructor and like learn the proper ways to like come in here and train, and then like you just rep that once a month, I think that's like baseline what you need to keep the skills. Anything more than that is like you're an enthusiast now.
Okay. Yeah, I have friends that are enthusiasts.
Yeah, like you're at the range 4 times a month, you're an enthusiast.
Right. I'm on the other spectrum. Like I have guns. I used to shoot a lot, but not really anymore.
Yeah, but you also got a new baby, so like you can't be at the range that often.
No, I can't. Plus, I got to work in my cases.
Yeah,
I'm being a lawyer, but I do miss it. So we'll have to hit the range sometime.
Let me know, I lived there.
Yeah. So what's like the biggest mistake that you see new gun owners make?
Not buying a holster. Like I think that's absolutely like the biggest mistake.
What do they just have it loose? Or?
Yeah, like they'll literally just buy the gun, they'll buy ammo, and they're just like, oh, I'm good. And it's like, no, you're not. Like, where are you gonna put that? Like if you're a woman, you put it in your purse, you have eyeliner, you have lipstick, you have things that can get inside of that trigger wheel and like make that mechanism move, and that's an issue.
So I'm sorry to interrupt, but then they have like no intent to carry it, or they're carrying it without a holster?
They genuinely just don't know. Like I genuinely get people with like zero knowledge. Like they found me on TikTok, they're like, oh, that's interesting. I like that knowledge. Like I'll call him and take the class. And it's like, okay, you don't own a gun? I guess you're gonna buy this 365. Like go buy that, and then you're gonna buy this holster. Either use my discount link or like right here in the shop, just buy one right there. And I've seen people literally be like, oh, I'll wait for it. And it's just like, no, it's $50. Like spend that 50 right now so you don't have to think about it again. Because you put this in your, like, how do you plan on carrying it? You're going to put it in your pocket?
Now that I think of it, I think you actually may have helped me with the holster for the 380 because I didn't have the one I had was no good anymore. So, oh, okay. Yeah. So holsters, you say your number.
Yeah, like that's my golden rule of safety.
Yeah.
And like, as we get into it, like it'll save you a lot on the legal side.
Okay. I like that. So speaking of like gun safety, what's like the number one way that someone could get themselves in trouble with a gun? In general,
the number one way someone can get themselves in trouble is probably kind of how we talked about on the last one of like being inside of a car. Like that is probably the trickiest. And like as we've like already been just kind of talking the shop here, like it's so convoluted as we've said, and like officers don't fully know it, judge, like nobody fully knows everything. So like that is probably the quickest way to get a charge.
So you're saying having a handgun in a vehicle is maybe one of the most misunderstood laws about guns?
Most likely, like that is probably the top one. Like if you're going to get a charge, it's probably going to be from the side of the car. Because like once you're out the car, it's like it's concealed, nobody knows. So like how do you charge somebody with what you don't know?
Right.
Open carry is too new here for us to have like really things to reference to. So I'd say in the car is the one place you're likely to get a charge.
Yeah.
Any place.
I don't disagree with that. Ian, what do you think was like then the number one thing?
I think the biggest way to get in trouble is to forget to always treat the gun like it's loaded. And when you're cleaning, I've seen, I don't even know how many negligent discharges.
Yeah, that's
where someone winds up getting hurt,
weird
discharges, and someone could have been in danger, goes to an apartment wall, something like that.
Oh yeah, I've seen that too.
Otherwise, well-meaning, non-criminals, definitely facing, felony charges.
I'd probably change my answer to that, honestly. Like that is also like extremely valid.
Right. And I've seen it too, and you've probably seen it with experienced guys, law enforcement officers.
Like in the video we referenced, like the guy tries to clear it and it's like, you left the mag in and you racked, like you just put another round in the chamber, sir.
Always act like it's
always treat it like it's loaded.
Like it's loaded. Always assume there's one in the chamber.
Yeah.
Even if the mag's out, there could be one in the chamber.
Yeah, it's like
even if the mag's
they're
out.
designed to go off even with the mag out. Some of them, most of them.
Right. So you just always never point a gun at anyone, never do anything.
Yeah.
And I've personally seen irresponsible people that you think are sophisticated enough with a gun, and it's frightening.
Oh yeah, days later.
Sometimes. So looks like we're all on the same page. Well, since it is a legal podcast, and I know you're not a lawyer, but you're, a firearms instructor, the gun laws better than anyone that I know. We've got Ian here as well. The difference between open carry and concealed carry. Now, as we're filming this, laws have changed in the past year and in the past couple of years on both of those issues, really, open carry and concealed carry. So as the law states right now, I mean, it was always illegal to have a concealed firearm unless you had a permit, right?
Yeah.
That's no longer the case anymore.
Nope. Permitless carry as of 23.
Yeah. So it's no longer required. And then now, as of even more recently, you can carry openly. Still illegal on the books, right, Ian? But the case law says it's constitutional to open carry. Sorry, I'm just thinking of things as it's coming to me. But as when the District Court of Appeals opinion came out, I expected to see people open carrying everywhere. Personally, I've not seen a single person open carry. Have you?
No, actually, I have not. Like, not anybody that is in duty.
Ian, have you seen anyone?
I haven't seen any since that happened, and the ones that I've heard are typically people just trying to prove a point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and most people don't feel a need to openly carry a firearm.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, from what I've seen, I know it's very anecdotal, but from what I've seen, people do seem to be responsible with this.
Yeah, like culturally, and we talked about this on the last one. Like, there are 45 states that are open carry, 46 maybe including us. So like, it is, and civilians just don't typically want to do it. And like, again, unless they're proving the point or they're like that personality, which that personality is usually trying to prove the point.
Right.
They just don't want to let somebody know that they have it on. And like, it's just clear logic of like, you have a gun? If I'm going to rob this place and you have a gun, I might take you out first.
Yeah. So just people being using their head about it, I suppose. Any places where you can't carry a gun in Florida?
Federal property. Anything that is government related is a no-go. So schools, which one of the other instructors asked about it, like, technically can't have a gun within 1,000 feet of a school, which is true. But if your home is within 1,000 feet of the school, like, that's your private property you can possess on your home property. That was like one of the biggest confusions. And then, like any place that legislative body or committee, like government, any place that government is controlling, you can't bring it.
Yeah. So just like with anything with the law, it depends. Like, on the situation.
Or private property, if their policy is to not allow firearms.
Okay.
So they can have them escorted, not a violation of state law.
Yeah. You're not breaking law. You're breaking rules.
You can be trespassed if you stay there with a firearm.
Yeah, exactly. We actually talked about that on that one too.
So you conceal carry and you're doing it right, nobody knows.
Yeah. So what happens if you are carrying legally, everything's legal, but you do somehow encounter the police for whatever reason? Could be a simple consensual encounter, it could be a traffic stop. I mean, you're an instructor. Is that something that comes up in your instruction to students?
Yeah, like Florida's a no duty to notify state, so you're not legally obligated to tell them. And as you know, like the past year, like maybe last year, year before, like I got 6 tickets. So I had like many interactions with the cops, and I would just play like a social experiment where it's like I would not tell them, and I would just see how they would play the interaction based off whatever they stopped me for. Like typically speeding, my foot is pretty heavy. But none of them asked, and I'd ask them at the end, they're like, hey, we believe in the Second Amendment. Like the law says you can have it. Like you've done nothing that makes me need to ask about a firearm. So like, we're good to go, bud. And if you are talking to the police, I mean, they have a gun, you have a gun, you can bring it up if you want to be courteous. Like you said in the last one, might get you out of a ticket if it's the right one. But like, there's not much to talk about unless you feel like you need to disclose it because maybe they're going to go hands-on or you just really want to up front. It's all up to you. But for the most part, it's a standard interaction. Just talk about what you got to talk about.
And Ian is a former law enforcement officer.
Yeah, to piggyback on that real quick, if you do tell them about the gun, whatever you do, don't reach for it.
Yeah.
Don't put your hands anywhere near it.
Keep it
and
far away.
Ask the officer how they would like you to handle it. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of one of those, you can, you should. Just because you can say, it's right here, that's a terrible idea.
And right. Or even tell them I have a gun and then go to reach for your registration in the glove box, even if the gun's in the trunk or something, they're going to assume that you're reaching for the gun. If you just said, I have a gun, but I'll, and then you go to get what they just asked you for, which is license registration, they're going to assume, put, 2 and 2 together that you're reaching for the gun. So yeah, absolutely. Let them know. And
especially if it's in that compromised spot, kind of like if it's next to that registration, like you need to disclose that right away if it's a traffic stop, because like that just immediate confusion. They see it, they have to make an assumption in like 0.5 seconds.
Yeah, and
It's not a lot of time.
you were a police officer for a long time, and longer than I was, and even I, in my short time there, I was able to sometimes do a traffic stop and see a gun that was not disclosed, and that's just a red flag.
Yeah.
I'm sure you had that same experience.
A lot. And that kind of brings to the definition of what concealed is.
Mhm.
A firearm is concealed if it's not readily ascertainable. It doesn't have to be completely hidden, not completely covered. If it's even just partially covered, it's not seen right away, that could be considered concealed.
Yep.
There's different definitions when it's in a vehicle. Right, we can talk about that later.
Yeah, but if you're a police officer, if you're standing outside the vehicle like a normal citizen would be or passerby, and you can see it, then it's say
Yeah.
But again, in the vehicle, it gets very convoluted. So let's talk about like outside the vehicle then. So Jaylen, is there a difference between like open carry and having a gun like in your hand, like brandishing a gun?
Yeah.
Because they're both open technically, right? You can see the gun, but is there a difference between just carrying it like in a holster where you can see the gun and actually like holding it in your hand?
Yeah, that's a big difference because like one is it's visible to the ordinary sight, which is fine under open carry. Like if it's just on your hip like a cop, like that's fine. If it's in your hand, you're now brandishing. Like in brandishing a weapon can get you, like there's no official definition in most states of what brandishing is, but like you can definitely catch a charge for that because the assumption if it's in your hand, are you about to use it? Is somebody's life in danger? Is your life in danger? Like we got to start going through criteria of self-defense now. So like the moment the firearm comes out of holster, you are now in like legal ground. Like, are you brandishing? Are you assaulting somebody with a deadly? Like,
so it comes up to context. Like
like context starts to apply a lot more. Like if you just had to move it, maybe that's different. Like you just had to move it really quick for whatever reason, different. But if you're walking around with it in your hand, like you better hope I don't see you because like I'm immediately calling somebody and like we got to start going through procedures now.
Sure. And you wonder like the context was there just an argument? Your words mattered.
Yeah.
What words are you saying?
Like,
Are you pointing or doing? Are you you don't have to be discharging it to get into trouble, right?
Yeah, not at all.
So I'm gonna ask you a technical question.
Okay.
So I'm not really even quite sure what this FRTs. You know what that stands for?
Force reset triggers.
Yes.
Uh,
Even that I don't know what that is.
yeah.
Is that legal in Florida?
I would say no. And
First, explain what it is.
so a force reset trigger is essentially it's a standalone accessory, we'll call it, just even based off the text in the statute. It's an accessory that you can drop in, and the reset of a trigger is like once you break the wall and the gun goes bang, the trigger resets back to a place that it can fire again. This device essentially should have more reset force that it can push your finger back, and if you kind of hold it in the proper position, that 3-degree angle of where the gun goes bang, it'll kind of play with that mechanism and create a rapid fire. And they originally made that law after Vegas with bump stocks just to make those completely illegal. My argument is that the FRT is just a different version of the bump stock with mechanics, physics, and all of how guns work with recoil. So it still allows the gun to be more than a semi-automatic. Like it's dusting off rounds at a higher rate of speed. So like I would still consider FRTs illegal. Based off how they wrote that statute, it does encompass FRTs.
I can't have an expert on the show and not ask about, expert.
Yeah,
questions.
that was fair. And the boys asked about that one too and was like, yeah, can't do that.
All right, cool. Do you ever have students or anyone like with your online community or anyone that do end up picking gun charges up where they do get accused or arrested of anything that
a lot more before we went permitless carry. Like I sent one of my good friends to you.
Yeah.
He had a pistol in the back cubby of his like passenger seat and there was no holster. He had like the little thing that you can use to just like clip it, which is like, that's terrible because you can hurt yourself if you grab that thing and accidentally pull the trigger. But police pulled him over. They searched, they saw it was a specific like tan color. And it's like, if you just know what that color is and what it is. And which this will lead to another topic. He let him search the car. He doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink. So he was like, yeah, search it. Like, I don't got nothing. He picked up a 3rd-degree felony charge that night.
Yeah.
And it was like, I told you to buy a holster. That would have solved that whole situation, but you didn't listen to me.
Yeah, and I can tell you since the laws have changed, I mean, I haven't seen nearly as many gun charges. We still have certain gun charges we see. Ian, you and I.
Felons in possession.
Felons
Very common.
Yeah, in my mind.
That one's all day long.
Or possessing while committing a felony, or possessing while possessing drugs.
Yep, or assault with a firearm.
Yeah, a lot more like
The
serious
shooting
shit now. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't want people to think that like I can just do anything with a gun now. Like there's still a lot of gun laws on the books. Yeah, we see those a lot too. So The next question is like, what's the most common way that a legal gun owner accidentally gets arrested? Like, say you have the gun legally, it's not, stolen anything. It's got all the serial numbers. It's a legal gun. You're a responsible gun owner. Like personally, I've seen people get in trouble. Sometimes like a road rage incident, or it's something where maybe it's not your fault. Someone else starts it.
Yeah.
And you feel like I'm being threatened now. And so you pull out your gun to defend yourself, and then you end up getting arrested on it.
Yeah, I'd say brandishing would probably be the easiest way for like a legal gun owner, because like there are too many contexts of like, if you're a legal gun owner doing it all by the book, like there's no reason you should catch a charge. But that story you just gave, or that context, like brandishing, you pull that gun out and you haven't met the criteria or the pillars to actually use self-defense yet, like you're screwed now.
Right. You've escalated the situation.
Just like you are the problem.
Right. And a lot of this with, self-defense, I'm sure we'll get into it, but it is, it's got to be objectively reasonable, right? Not just because you subjectively feel
think your life's in danger is like, that's great, bud. You can think all day long, but like your thinking is flawed.
Yeah. And then it's put up to the courts to decide
Yeah.
if it's reasonable. And and a lot of that depends on what's reasonable to the judge. So, can someone get charged with a firearms crime, if they never fired the weapon?
Absolutely. Like brandishing, you don't got to, like, you just got to hold the thing. Not even hold it. If you just show it, like if you just lift your shirt up in a conversation that could be tense and you just show it, like that's a charge right there.
Yeah. It could be considered, aggravated assault with the firearms. Anything with firearms is pretty much aggravated. And then assault is, you don't even have to discharge the firearm, right? You can just be threatening with it or point in the direction of the person.
Yeah, there was a good case out of Palm Bay, and there's a YouTube channel, Lackluster, who like went deep into it and followed the whole thing. Like wife swimming at pool, calls husband because she's in an altercation with somebody, and you can just see it on camera. Like he just lifts it up, just lifts his shirt up and shows it. And like once the investigation went further, like he ended up getting a charge and losing a CCW. And he had a CCW license, but you messed up. So that's actually perfectly tied to like legal gun owner, trying to be the big man for your wife, and now you caught a charge.
Yeah, it's easy to do.
And don't forget the mandatory minimums.
Yeah,
for possessing or using or discharging. Yeah, if the state wants to, first time offense, you could looking at 10-year minimum, 20-year minimum.
Okay, so it is what I was gonna say. Does the whole like 5, 10, 20 still apply? I used to see posters about that like some years back, and was like, oh, so yeah, terrified me as a teenager.
Yeah, I mean, guns, you got to be careful no matter what you're doing with them. It's I know people, that train with them.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a tool, but at the same time, a lot of liability,
A lot of responsibility.
Extreme.
responsibility. Absolutely, man. So let's talk about self-defense a little bit more, when it comes to firearms. And I think we talked about this a little bit, when does self-defense like not apply, even if you feel threatened? I think we talked about like just your subjective feelings versus like, would an ordinary, reasonable, prudent person under the same or similar circumstances also feel that way? And I don't know, do you ever have students that maybe seem a little like skittish or on edge, or that maybe
not too many that are like skittish or on edge. There's a lot that like give me scenarios and I'm just like, you do that, you're going to jail. Like let's keep it or what is like, you're going to jail if you do that. That is not how this works. But for that one, I'd say like the basic criteria of like, if you're going to use self-defense, like it does not apply to you as an argument if you're doing something illegal or you don't have a right to be there. Like those are the two things you at least baseline need to use, even argue self-defense. So like if you're trespassing or you don't have a right to be on that property, like you can't claim it. If it's a drug deal gone wrong and like that person wants to rob you now, like you're doing something illegal. You can't claim self-defense in that situation.
Right. So what you're saying is if you were the one like, going in there to commit a crime.
Yeah. Like
and then
something happens, like you can't be like, oh, I was defending myself. Like, no, you were doing crime.
And the theory is, I guess, that you've created that situation.
Yeah.
Put them in that situation. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. So let's talk about things that are, is that actually illegal? So first, can you get arrested for having a gun in your car the wrong way?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
That's
a really, could be a gray area, even for law enforcement sometimes, right?
It definitely could be. And we were kind of just going through it, and like what you said earlier, I'm like, nope, that's right. Like rereading it and then like taking your concerns, like, yeah, it does say like the concealed weapon can be on your person, but like if it's off of your person, the criteria change. And I usually see this a lot with like 18 to 20-year-olds, because you can have legal possession of a weapon. You can't buy it, but like if your dad, somebody gifts it to you, like you can have it in the car. But I've seen a lot of kids, and I'll call them kids in just this moment, but like they may get pulled over and they just get nervous. So they're like, ooh, I'll hide the firearm. Maybe it was on their person beforehand, allegedly. And they're like, I don't want it on my person. So they like put it under the seat. You're like, you're 100% going to catch a charge. 18 to 20, I'd almost argue even if you're not 18 to 20, like you put it under the seat, it's such a gray area that you're likely to gonna have to fight it in court.
Yeah. Yeah. And what about, is it illegal to carry a gun while you're drinking or at a bar?
So you cannot be at any portion of the establishment like licensed to dispense alcohol for consumption there. So like you can't sit at the bar. But like if we were to go to ale house, we could technically sit at a booth. We can consume alcohol, but you don't want to be over the 0.08 limit. So I'd say like responsibly drink one beer. If you're going to sit here for like 3 hours, eat food, drink water and other drinks, like that is reasonable. But like if you go slamming 4 shots back to back, like no, you cannot be drunk with the firearm and you cannot be at the bar specifically with the firearm.
Yeah, probably.
Or in like clubs either.
So can you get charged for, like, say you're on social media and you're posting a picture of you with a gun? Is there anything there?
Not really, unless like you're a felon that shouldn't be in possession of a gun. Like, I'm sorry, but like rappers just fit this all the time. Like their music videos, their whole entourage, like they're posting guns, and it's like, if you're all felons and you post yourself with a gun, like I don't know how the legal side of it goes, but it's like, if I find that gun and like, let's say the serial was flashed and I can prove that this is the gun that you have in that video, like, yeah, that can get you. But if you're a normal gun owner that can legally have them, like for the most part, no, but there's still nuance there. Like, what were you saying? What were you doing? Like, are you doing sketchy things that like somebody has to now investigate? If so, like you could look at something, but for the most part, no.
Because the gun itself is not illegal.
Yeah, like the gun itself.
So if you're doing it in like a threatening manner, like, but it's still on social media, a picture of the gun, like Ian, I know sometimes that comes up, but you know, for assault, like there still has to be some imminency. It's in one of the elements of the offense is like it has to be
like pointing the gun at the camera,
right?
Like, no one got hurt, so like it's hard to be threatening.
Yeah. So yeah, possession itself is not against the law, but if what you're doing is otherwise illegal, that gun could be a tool as a means to that end. But again, the possession itself, assuming you're not otherwise prohibited, is not illegal. That's all. But
so can you like loan a firearm to a friend?
You can, you shouldn't. Like it's probably not smart, but like there's nothing that says that like if I'm in your house, I'll give this example in class, is like if I'm in your house and somebody like breaks in, like you don't have a gun, I'm gonna give my gun to you. Like, hey, it's your castle, your property, like go ahead, handle that. It doesn't matter if it's my gun, but like that's very nuanced because like usually, I mean, just for me personally, because I'm in the industry deep, like everybody has a gun. There's no need for me to lend you my gun in this moment. But all in all, to make it simple, like, yes, you can, but you should very much know and trust the person that you're giving it to with your life.
Yeah, very much. And this is a little outside of what we normally practice because we do criminal law, we don't do civil law, but Florida has what's called the dangerous instrumentality law. If you lend someone your car, they get into a car crash, you're responsible for their actions. Strange thing with a firearm. So if you lend someone a firearm and they do something with it, you could be civilly liable.
Civilly or not, but not criminally.
Well, depending on some statutes.
Okay.
As we've seen around the country, school shootings, teenagers.
Yeah. Parents are starting to really get in trouble for it now.
So that could change in Florida. I haven't seen it yet, but if you give a firearm to someone and you have reason to believe they shouldn't have it, you might face some sort of criminal charge in there.
There are provisions in Florida that like kind of similar. They didn't go as deep as like some of the other states where they're prosecuting the parents, but it's like if you have minors in the house and they have easy access to it, like you can still face some legal repercussions in Florida.
Yeah. I mean, anything with a firearm, you're talking about like it's a high liability issue, right?
Yeah.
All day long. So guns are, like I said, it could be a great tool, but it could cause great harm as well. So you just have to be safe and responsible. So speaking about being responsible with a firearm, going back to, you know, self-defense, because this comes up again and again. I know that's probably a huge part of what you train with as well. You know, so our viewers might want to know, like, well, how does stand your ground actually work? Like, can you go too far in defending yourself?
100% you can. So I always say stand your ground as is simply means that like if somebody's threatening you with unlawful force or, you know, deadly force that's going to cause great bodily harm or something, all stand your ground really means is that you can plant your feet on the ground and face them, and you don't have to like try to retreat out of the situation. Whereas like New England states like New York, it's a duty to retreat. So like if you can see that you can kind of get out of there, you're kind of forced to do that. And if you don't, it can be used against you in court. In Florida, we don't have this. Like you have no obligation to turn your back to them. But that's all stand your ground means.
Right.
The point you're going to use force or deadly force is the opposite side, but a whole different set of criteria that you're going to use.
Right. And so you just said deadly force, and you do not have the duty to retreat, and you can use deadly force to protect yourself, which I think is important because the distinction is you cannot use deadly force to protect your property.
Yeah.
Right.
Not property at all. It's all your person. Like if it's your car being stolen, insurance can fix a stolen car, but like you discharge and somebody else gets hurt because that person crashes, whatever, like you're responsible. That was your round. You did that.
Sure. And people are being asked to make this, split-second decision, and it's confusing because stand your ground does apply to defend property, but not deadly force. And that I think is where people really might get confused, because they're like, oh, okay, so stand your ground is only to defend yourself. No, stand your ground is to defend you or your property, but you can only defend yourself with deadly force if it is you're defending you or another human life, not property. So again, so there's a difference.
Really separate them. And that's what people like. The best use of force was also like what force, but not deadly force, was like mace. It's like if somebody's stealing your car, like mace them, just hit them with the hot sauce, and like that usually, like every time we've done it in the field, like as security, because we don't get the same as police. It's like the police have never harassed us or never like taken us down a rabbit hole anywhere. Even if they did call the police on us and said like, hey, they did this, and it's like, you should have listened to them. You would have got maced. And it was like, okay, cool.
Right.
So like mace is the best use of force. Anything past that is like, now we got to evaluate different criteria.
Yeah, absolutely. And with you owning a security company, I know you've told me many stories that you see, a lot of this non-deadly force use as well.
A lot.
Yeah. So let's talk about some scenarios, right? So you train people, I assume, for different self-defense scenarios. What happens if there's a road rage incident and the other driver pulls a gun out? Where should your student be at this point?
This is extremely contextual, because it's like if we had to play out and build a scenario, it's like if you both are driving and maybe you cut them off by accident, like they're now doing aggressive driving towards you. Like if they pulled a gun out and you just see it by like looking and trying to like see your surroundings, I'd say like one, call the cops immediately. Like call the cops, get their plates, get as best description of them as you can, and like get somebody rolling there as soon as you can. I want to say pull over, because it's like, just don't be on the same road with them anymore, especially if they're going to follow you. Like just get off the road. If they pull off the road too, like you're building intent of that person. If they get out the car with the gun or just approach you, like now you've got the entire like concoction to determine what you got to do next.
So what I'm hearing is if you have the opportunity to disengage, you should disengage.
Yeah, like while we have no duty to retreat in Florida, like retreating is the best option almost every time. Like because it's cheaper, it's going to save you a lot of headaches. Like just retreat if you can, especially in a road rage. Like I'd say get off the road, call the cops, and like let it play out. Have 911 operator on the phone and just describe everything that's going on.
So what you're saying is even though Florida doesn't have a duty to retreat, it sometimes might be the best tactical decision.
Oh, 100%. Small side tangent. There was a time where we were doing this like a big event party, and it was like super late at night, and there were probably like 2,000 people in the parking lot. Like it was let out time. It's a sea of people in cars, and like they're on the radio. Like I look around, I'm like, there's nobody around me. And they're like, get in the door. And I'm like, what? And I was like, they have an AK-47 right over there. And I was like, oh, so what are we going to do? And they're like, what are we going to, nothing. We're not going to win this fight. And I did the math. I was like, we don't have enough bullets combined to win this fight. And if people start like, he's shooting him, they're like, it's like, we're going to call PD and we're getting out of here. Like, this is so far beyond, like, retreating is the best option.
So you say just be pragmatic.
Don't think this is a movie. John Wick should have died in the first one if that was real life.
Right. It's not a movie. This is real life.
This is real life. No response.
So and Ian, I'll ask you this one. So like let's just say you are in a self-defense shooting, right? It's legitimate self-defense. The police come out. The police are going to want to talk to you, I'd imagine. Yep. Do you think it's better for someone to give a statement to police or maybe ask for an attorney?
I'm curious this answer too.
Yeah,
100%.
So as an officer, we were trained that if we were ever involved in an officer-involved shooting, we would not make any statements except I fired 3 rounds or however many rounds in this direction. And that was it. And the purpose of that was to make sure you could account for all the rounds and there might not be someone on the other side of a wall who might have been hurt. Mm-hmm. That was the only purpose. But as with any case, people tried to talk and be helpful, thinking that they acted in the right. And while self-defense, the stand your ground does provide immunity, the courts and, practical matters dictate you're still going to get arrested. It's supposed to protect you from it, but you're going to be arrested and you're going to have to pay tens of thousands of dollars to an attorney. And I love making money. I think we all do. That's everyone, tries to make money, provide for their families, but I don't want to make it if it's not going to help you. Okay. If you can avoid it, avoid it. Don't do it. Just be smart about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what,
close your mouth.
Yeah.
Should have done.
And I think you're absolutely right. You want to put yourself in the best position possible.
Yeah.
And some of that comes from with what Jaylen says, just maybe avoiding in the first place.
Yeah, like if you can. We avoided a lot of shooting with, like we were justified, clear as day, like we could articulate everything. It's like, it's going to be a headache if we do this, so don't. And the time we did actually do it, my teammate did talk to the police. He was FDLE, like he graduated from the academy. So like he was very confident, felt like he knew how to say it. We had body cam and all that good stuff. But even more to your point, and for everybody else out there who is not FDLE or like trained, he lapsed on details that were irrelevant, but it was like, you told me one thing an hour and a half after it happened, and a year later, it's like, those aren't true. That's not what happened. You didn't hit him in the place you thought. You didn't pull your weapon when you thought. Like, it was irrelevant.
Yeah.
Still good, but like, what if those were like things that you did wrong that you forgot? I'd rather get one story perfectly than 5 stories that have details added.
Yeah, absolutely.
The reality too is the way our brains work. When you're in a high stress situation like a shooting, your brain does not perceive things that happened, or it perceives it differently. It's not a malicious thing.
Nope.
It's very, very common for people in high stress incidents to start remembering details a few days, a few weeks later. And when you make statements to law enforcement, especially when you're trying to assert stand your ground, and you tell the police one thing, and then later you remember something else, or you see video showing something else, it's too late.
Yep.
And you're locked in.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if it is something that is not maybe a critical factor, just any inconsistency then starts to unravel the thread on the sweater.
Yep.
And they start saying, well, what else are you being untruthful about? And you might be, completely well-intentioned, not trying to lie, but like you said, the adrenaline dump, you're going through this situation, you're in a shooting, time slows down, you're focusing on the details, you have target focus, auditory issues.
Just like things you're processing in literally hundreds of a second, tenths of a second, that it's like,
Exactly.
you just can't.
Yeah, and so you're almost set up for failure to give a statement.
Yeah, like truly. And
To do it.
to finish your point, the way the team described him, it was like his eyes were wide and he was breathing heavy. And it was like, he was in shock. You can hear it on the body cam the way he's breathing. Like he is trying to think, but his body is not going through it properly.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I think those are great answers. So Jaylen, you talk a lot about going under responsibility, how to be safe with firearms. Where should firearms be stored safely at home?
Like everything that we talk about is contextual. Again, my golden rule is a holster. Like if your gun is in a holster, it should not go off. Like 99% of the time, we do have an issue with SIG right now and they're going through it. But like if it's in a holster, it is going to be safe. From there, if you have young kids in the house, I'd say double down, put it inside of a safe as well. Just like multiple layers. Like I had a young kid in my house and when he was 3, he tried to get in my safe with the gun loaded in the holster, like inside of there. And I was like, that's why you do that. Because that kid is curious, just saw a cool looking thing and tried to get into it, but can't guess the 8-digit number code. Yeah, I forget the code all the time.
Especially with kids in the house, always put it in the safe, put it here, they don't know where it is.
Yeah.
Or even if you don't have kids, if someone breaks into your house and steals it,
Yep.
you
Like,
can still be responsible. It's still your gun.
yep. And even like, I'll touch on that one deeper too, like, especially as kids get older and we just have this issue with shootings happening. Like, I think the psychology around teaching kids with guns has to change. Like, kids that grew up in the 80s, like, I think they were more trustworthy than like kids today because they just have so much access to information. So like, if your gun's in your room, your kid should not go in that room if you're not there. Like, they have to knock to get in every time. Like, you don't cross that threshold where that gun is to prevent it. I feel like no one thinks their kid would do that, but like, everyone's surprised when it is their kid that did it.
Yeah, you can't assume. You got to lock it up.
Yep.
Yeah, make it inaccessible. So, all right. So let me ask you, if you have a student or someone you're working with firearms, if they just don't feel comfortable holding a firearm or anything with it, what's your angle on that? What recommendation would you have?
Specifically students for me, especially like women, I'll find this a lot where like they're just terrified of the thought and they built this thought. So I walk them from the basics. Or shout out to Mantis X because they sent this to me. It's like a CERT training tool and it just shoots a laser. There's no recoil. It feels like a real trigger, but it just discharges a laser. It's like, we're going to build your confidence. We're going to start there. Then we'll go to a 22, light recoil, like I said, glorified BB gun. From those 2 points, they're like, okay, this is what a gun does. And it's like, hey, when we go to a 9mm, everything you've learned stays the same. The only thing that changes is the feel and the sound. Like, that's it, but do everything the same. And then they're like, okay, that makes them more comfortable. So I'd say putting a fake gun in their hand and just being like, hey, get comfortable with this.
Yeah. Then
Then go to a low power real one, then build it up from there.
So when people come to you, they may not know a lot about firearms. What's like the number one myth that people come to you with?
That they're going to shoot somebody in the head. That is the number one myth. Like there's people I've worked with, they're just like, people just don't understand what it takes to actually make an accurate marksman shot. and they just assume that they're going to be great and do it this way. And like, and it's just like, no, that's everything you think is wrong.
Target too.
Yeah. Like a moving target. It's like, we're dealing with a stationary target at 5 yards away. And it's like, you've missed this head. Now, what are you expecting? This a dynamic situation. You're processing 7 things at one time and they're moving. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not going to be, or the other one is like, oh, I just want to shoot him in the thigh. That's the biggest one. That's the one I hear.
Oh, really?
That's,
see, I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, they're like, I don't want to hurt him. I just want to shoot him in the thigh. And I was like, let's stop right. Like, I do this professionally. I'm not making that shot. Like, I'm not making that field. Like, we're talking about a hand-sized target moving. You're going to hit that?
Well, plus, I mean, just the intent, because if you're at the point where you have to fire a gun at someone's body, you're typically not doing it just to nick them, right?
Yeah. But people can't, they're like, I don't want to kill them because they're stuck on that. And it's like, I get your morality.
Yeah.
But like the practicality is like, you're not going to make that. And if that ricochets off the ground, touches something else, you're responsible.
Yeah.
It's like, don't
Interesting. I was not expecting that.
Yeah. I'm glad it came back to me right then, but like, definitely I'm going to hit him in the thigh.
Okay. So this is what people are, telling you when you're working one-on-one with people, but I know you're really big on social media. I've seen your stuff. A lot of people follow you. What's like the number one thing on social media that just drives you crazy?
The number one thing that drives me more than like typical, like just people that don't know and they're just like in the comment section asking questions, trying to get more info. There is a certain creator that I won't say their name, but like I feel like they put out very dangerous tactics. And just to give you a basic example is like they were saying like don't carry one in the chamber because it's negligible to draw and then rack your slide. And then again, I was like, what are we saying right now? That can be proven, like disproven on the range with a simple shot timer. Like we can prove that very easily. And like to put that out, and this person has like hundreds of thousands of followers, like they get a lot of traffic. And it's like to put that out and somebody may believe you and you can empirically test it. And we have 25 years of military history and like high level shooting that like, that's not what you should do. You don't have that time. Like 100/10ths of a second matter and you want to waste it racking. Like,
so they're saying don't keep one in the chamber.
Yeah, like have it in the holster, but don't keep one in the chamber. You're going to rack it as
what's the purpose of that?
They're saying isn't it like they've seen too many people have accidents with it. And it was like, well, we train them on trigger discipline. Keep your finger off the trigger, keep it pointed in a safe direction. Like look at it as it's going in the holsters. Like we have procedures to stop that. It's when you don't follow that procedure that mistake happens.
Okay, so they're trying to avoid an accidental discharge.
And accidents.
If you're pulling your gun and pointing it, you probably need it.
Yeah, like you have hundreds of it. I break it down this way, where it's like most people don't understand. It's like a typical self-defense engagement for civilians, like 7 yards, 21 feet. An athlete can close 40 yards in 4 seconds. How long do you think 7 or 21 feet takes? Like mathematically, maybe 1.14.
Yeah.
You don't have enough time to rack that round at 114 before they're arm's length of you with the knife. Right. Or if they have a gun too, they have one in the chamber.
Let's be real too. I mean, officers, you're trained. That 21 foot, that's a deadly force.
Yep.
And the reality is a trained officer with just a holster already having their hand on the gun, ready to go. That time that
gonna take
the threat 2 seconds and react it, they're still going to get stabbed.
Yeah.
And if you have to do the extra step of racking the slide, you're wasting time.
I was so baffled when I was like, that is the craziest thing I've ever seen them post. And it literally drove me insane because I was like, that's just like someone's going to get hurt if they follow your advice.
And so for our viewers, I know you guys are, very well versed in firearms and the 21 foot, essentially what the 21 foot rule is that if someone is threatening, say they have a knife or something, they can close a 21 foot gap within the time they would take you to draw your gun and fire it.
Yeah.
So that's where that 21 foot comes from. And that's just, obviously it's going to be different based on the situation that you're in.
Yeah, 100%.
Dealing with an Olympic athlete or some kind of, or a Slav, you don't really know who you're dealing with or what weapon they have. But that's just like a general rule of thumb.
Yeah, at 7 yards, your life is in danger.
Yeah.
Like you need to make a decision and have it in your head of what you're going to do next.
Right. And like Ian just said, I mean, you're talking about like a trained police officer who's gone through the extensive firearms training versus a civilian. They're not going to have most likely that same reaction time.
Yep.
Yeah. So, okay, that's good. Thank you guys. Let me ask you this, Jaylen. What's the most dangerous piece of advice you've seen online about guns? Would it be that what you just said, or is
that was probably it? That's probably like the most dangerous that I've seen. Like I want to think of something else, but I was like, I can't think of anything else that would like put somebody's life in jeopardy if they're in a self-defense situation. Like if they follow that advice, you're screwed.
Okay. All right. Well, we've talked about a lot of topics today. Let me see if there's anything else that we can get into. Any recent cases that you've seen or case law or?
The most recent case laws, there's a lot of things kind of like just in the works right now. Something that a lot of people probably don't know about is like suppressor laws that are changing, NFA items, which are like restricted Machine guns do fall under NFA. Suppressors, which a lot of people don't know, are legal. Silencers.
Explain what that is.
So if you go into the movies, like especially like John Wick, just best reference, like, and they put the long device on the front of it and it just silences, like those are legal to own. Like they're completely legal. And now we don't have a $200 tax stamp on them anymore. So before you have to pay the FTF $200 plus whatever the product costs in order to get it, $200 tax stamp left as of January 1st. And now we're battling in the Supreme Court to get the NFA registry in total just taken away. So that's a big one that's happening. I think there's some really interesting things happening with like marijuana laws too. There's a Duarte case out of like the 11th District Court of Appeals where he was a felon and he was in possession of a firearm, but all his charges were like drug charges. It was no violent crime. And he argued that he was, that like felons in the founding time based off Bruin, where like, if you don't know about Bruin, you got to evaluate firearms laws based off the 17th century or founding era of the Constitution and all that good stuff. He's saying that like a felon wouldn't have lost their right to own a firearm then. And so he is still a part of the people who are allowed to have it. But they're like, no, you're just not a virtuous person. I was like, there's a lot of good arguments there because not political, but like there's a felon that can control nuclear weapons. Like one's not virtuous to own a gun, but they can start war.
Yeah.
And
So it
then,
can be subjective.
yeah, like extremely subjective. And there's an argument. And then they're trying to get rid of, for medical marijuana, if you're a legal medical marijuana user with the card, that you may be able to get a permit soon if the arguments go through, right? Because like you're legally doing it. It's just an issue between feds and state, which is not a people issue. It's a you guys and bureaucracy issue.
Right. And so these laws can change all the time.
Yeah, like just stay tuned because they're constantly developing.
Yeah. All right, let me go back to you working with students with firearms. What would you suggest is like the best firearm for a beginner?
That's like, I would say a 9. A lot of people, like, especially when men buy for women, and this goes for the women when they like, I was like, oh, I want something small. And they want a 380, but it was like, the 380 round is snappier than a 9. And what people don't know, like when I say snappy, like the recoil in your hands, like it throws it back.
It's not harder fun.
No, it just won't be. So you want to buy a 9. It has more knockdown power. For you guys, like law enforcement, you prefer the 45, which is just a straight hole puncher. That's a great one, but for like most, that one may be too heavy.
What do you think about like a Beretta 9mm?
Berettas are decent. I think they're really changing the way that they kind of manufacture. And because like the old Berettas were very kind of like ancient in just their design, and they're kind of changing it up. I'm not a Beretta brand fan personally. Like I've shot them, but like it just didn't really bring me in. But if it's kind of like buying a new car. It's like a Honda and a Toyota Accord or a Toyota Camry. Like they're essentially the same thing. It's just which one do you like buying more or driving more? So you definitely got to go to the range and like test a few out to see what kind of calls your name, I guess.
Yeah. Speaking of the range, like what's the biggest mistake that you see at the range?
Breaking the 180.
The 180. I agree with you. Can you explain to people what that is?
So the 180 is like when you're standing on the, like anytime you go to a range, you see the base, and the 180 rule is like you're shoulder to shoulder and you should not break past where your shoulder is. From instructors, I've seen break this rule, especially just new people at the range, just when it's a bigger range. Like I've walked in and a lady was doing whatever, and like her man was kind of at the table behind doing something, and she just turned around like as I was walking by, and I was just like, nope, can't do that. Don't do that. She was just like a hard stop. And she was just like, I'm so sorry. And it was just like, yeah, like, let's just take a minute. Yeah. That's a loaded gun. And you were about to point it at everybody. It's me as I was walking by, like, don't do that.
Yeah. So what do you suggest? Just put it down?
Yeah. Like put it down. Be very cognizant. Like you can't get too excited. Like, and I think that's usually what happens. They're like, oh, I hit the X. Like I did it 5 times in a row. And it's like, great. Remember that what you just did would hurt somebody in the end. Like that is what you're
Don't turn around with it.
Like, don't turn around and tell us all, just set it down and then talk about it. Like, you got to think slow and operate fast in those moments. So that's the biggest thing at the range. Like, don't break the 180.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Ian. What do you think?
Yeah, same thing. Don't walk in front of it either.
Yeah, and then we've all seen it. We've all seen the 180 being violated. Either someone's turning around, like you just said, or you walk. It's like, hey, it's a hot range. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Because you go to pick up your shells or whatever, and don't think like, it's still a hot range, guys.
Don't do that.
Bad things happen. You know, you get the shells that are ejecting. And I remember during my training, it happened, I don't know how many times, it would go down the back of your shirt. And between my vest and my shirt and my skin, as getting burned.
That is the worst moment.
You can't turn.
Yep.
You can't.
So you just got to eat it.
But you have someone who's not trained, who doesn't have that mindset. That's their first reaction. They're going to jerk like this or just like this. Yep. And when you jerk, you pull in, and there you get the negligent discharge.
When they're panicking because they have a hot shell on their skin. Yeah.
What's funny, actually, you just brought up like a really interesting story that I had once. I was teaching this, she was a female, and I always kind of forget to just tell them, like, most people wear collared shirts, but she like wore a tank top. And yeah, like cardinal mistake. And I was just like, we were just like trying to fix it. So if you got a jacket, go grab it. But I had her shoot like a string of 10 rounds. And I looked back in the video, I don't know at which round, but a shell went down her shirt. She shot all 10 rounds and did not flinch. And it was a 22, so like it's a small shell, but like she didn't flinch. And at the end, she was just like, oh, and I was just like, what? It's like, how long has that been there? It's like, hey, tell me you're getting burnt. I could respect it because I was like, I don't think I could have done that. Like if I'd have felt that being hot there, it must have been on her skin. Because like I'm like, there's no way.
She was in the zone.
Clearly, because I'm like, you're a trooper for doing that. Like next time, tell me you like have hot metal in your shirt, please. Don't just sit there and listen to me teach the whole time.
Yeah. Well, you're just not entertaining, man. People want to listen to you.
I guess so, but I'm like, you're not about to come after me and be like, he let me get burned. No, I didn't. You didn't even tell me.
Yeah.
But she was super cool about it. She was like, no, it was just me. I could take it. I was like, you're better than me because like I'd have kicked immediately and get that thing off.
Oh my gosh. Well, hey, listen, man, I love having you on the show today. Thank you so much for coming
Absolutely.
in. And where can people follow you again?
So you can follow me on all platforms. It's the same name, Jayy, the Trigger Trainer, like typical spelling. Every single platform, that's what it is. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. I'll be honest, YouTube is kind of the platform I'm the most active on right now. So that's the one you should probably go to first, YouTube.
Yeah, check out his content. Fantastic content. If anything, firearm. Thank you again, Jaylen, for being on the show.
Absolutely.
Ian, always a great co-host. And again, this is Badges to Briefcases. I've been your host, attorney Brandon Gans. Follow us at Gans_Law, and we'll see you on the next one.